So I hope this finds you well, Judge Conley. This would be my affidavit video because the first time we were in court and I thought that my rights were being abused, I asked you to recuse yourself verbally. And you said, Sharon, let me do my job. And I thought, well, okay. I felt very violated by Patricia Morales, her supervisor, Miss Viles. The name in and of itself gave me a form of anxiety where I thought we were back in another education setting and 50-50, right? Part of me is going to live in reality and I'm going to deal with it as I seen, as I wrote. The other part of me is going to do fantasy, where I thought Judge Connolly was hired personally by Keith Ellison. And as he was hired personally, the real case where I slipped and I fell and I hurt myself, because I don't take the time to sue people. I told J.B. Hunt that this is an accident. And because the young man agreed that he hit me, he took responsibility. I'm not going to milk this claim, right? But I had some injuries where if I don't heal, Dr. Horn, I've already assigned liability. And I assigned it at that level, right? Because I don't like loose ends. So my very first claim against American Family Insurance, where no fault was moved out of court, and I showed fault under state law. Judge Conley holding Zoom court made me feel insecure because if you're not in the state of Minnesota's courtroom, I don't know where you're at, and you could be holding an illegal court where you're violating my rights, thus off the record. And I screenshotted that because I then gave him some more time to do his job, where that would be even changing my address and addressing the motion that I did as a summary judgment where I demanded at that level she pay me. So I would be expecting a judgment at that amount from November 1, 2025, due Sharon, unappealable due to 12/1/2026, going past February. The amount demanded at that juncture, Sharon felt she was due and owing. Now, when that wasn't paid, I assigned damages, right? Because each time a bill isn't paid, where the funds due me aren't in my hand, I feel that I have anxiety because now me and the bill collectors have to bargain. They're turning off things that I like to have. I do like to pay my bills. So in theory, I thought from 12/1, Judge Conley, who again, at that time wasn't reading my motion, so I filed a complaint with the judicial board. Why? Because I allowed Kelly Sophia to ask Michael Brown to recuse himself. I didn't dispute it. I didn't ask why. But Thomas Conley, who I felt was siding with Kelly Sophia, who is now being paid court costs illegally by Metropolitan Transit Council, who happens to be under a state contract already. So the state would just be paying themselves, right? And then paying for the judicial official, which would be Thomas Conley, to violate Sharon's rights. Where from February 1, 2026, Sharon says she wanted to go after Judge Thomas Conley, right? So when she was going through the procedure and she thought she had an IFP that gave her full rights as an attorney, in those motions that he wasn't reading, she asked to make sure that he certify her, because in this court proceeding, she has been given IFP. You will treat her like an attorney in my courtroom, and you will not use backhanded tactics to, again, stall this claim, which wasn't frivolous. Again, I hurt myself. I thought Dr. Horn, doing an assessment, using his hands, taking off his shoes, could legally, with validity, under his, again, state licensure through Brookdale Health, say Sharon was in pain. These are the trigger point tests that I did, and she reacted as if. And I thought she was talking about her wrist. And I said, I cannot help you with the wrist. You have to go talk to somebody else. And that was within a 48-hour period where she assigned damages to Metropolitan Transit Council, where now she expected a check. $186,000, right? No, I thought he then abused me by doing a pro bono contract. He gave me a job. He tried to give me a little bit of money, to pay my rent. And then he decided that at that juncture, nobody owed Sharon, which again, I thought I was being looked at as a slave with no rights, where my claims, my motions was being ignored. And then I thought Thomas Conley, appointed by the state of Minnesota, maybe appointed by a governor, might owe me money, which assigns the debt to the state, right? Because the state they're taking responsibility for Judge Conley. That's why I called Mayor Frey, right? Mayor Frey, you have to take responsibility because maybe your judicial official was appointed under Tim Walz. Maybe he was appointed under Mark Dayton, which again is headed by the Democrat Party. No judicial official should be controlled by any party. That makes all deals, again, subject to review. So where's my check? $186,000, no appeal, right? Or we gonna add the scooter? Did you puncture my lungs? Did that driver say that they paid me to flip her? And then they agreed that Sharon was victimized? Or that $186,000, would have turned to $350,000. So we didn't have to talk about it. We didn't have to have that driver come in and say that he was paid to toss me over and cause stress, more pain in a scooter, right? Sharon didn't need the scooter, did she? How did she get the scooter? Hennepin County Health. Hennepin County Health